When it comes to evaluating startup opportunities, one of the most important steps is estimating the size of your market. But market sizing is only as strong as the methodology behind it. Two of the most common approaches are top down and bottom up research. Each has its own strengths, weaknesses, and best use cases. For MBA students studying strategy or early stage founders trying to impress investors, understanding these two methods is crucial. Top down offers the big picture, a sweeping view of the market as a whole. Bottom up delivers precision, grounded in data and evidence from actual customers. Investors tend to lean heavily toward the latter because while top down numbers can look impressive in a pitch deck, bottom up numbers tell a more realistic story. This guide will help you understand when and how to use each method, how to combine them, and why credibility rests on the way you build your assumptions. The method you choose to size your market matters because quality matters. Market sizing isn't just a box to check, it drives product strategy, fundraising, and long term planning. If your approach is weak, your numbers will be inflated, unrealistic, or irrelevant. There are two core methods to know: top down and bottom up. They each serve different purposes. Top down starts with broad industry numbers and narrows them down using assumptions. Bottom up starts with real world data and builds outward from customer level insights. This makes your strategic choice important. Use top down when you need a fast, high level view of industry scale. Use bottom up when you need credibility, precision, and evidence that investors can believe in. It's also worth noting the investor preference. Most venture capitalists have seen countless decks with flashy top down numbers claiming billion-dollar opportunities. They are far less impressed by inflated figures than by grounded, evidence backed calculations. If you want funding, bottom up numbers are the ones that build confidence. The top down approach begins with industry data. Founders often cite trusted sources like Gartner, McKinsey, or IBISWorld to get the total value of an industry. From there, they apply assumptions to narrow the scope. They might filter based on geography, market segment, or target demographics. For example, they could start with a global $100 billion industry, then assume they'll capture 2% of the North American market, yielding a target opportunity. The final step is to calculate your slice, estimating the portion of that larger market you believe your startup can realistically address. On the surface, this looks polished and can make for impressive slides in a pitch deck. But here's the risk: top down approaches are often too optimistic. They rely on percentage assumptions that may not reflect reality. Just because you say you'll capture 2% of a $100 billion market doesn't mean you actually will. Investors know this. That's why top down alone can look flimsy. It suggests ambition, but without evidence, it lacks credibility. The bottom up approach flips the process. Instead of starting with a giant number and working downward, you begin with real customer data. This could come from surveys, waitlists, pilot programs, or even early sales. You then use unit economics to build projections. Multiply the expected price you'll charge by the number of potential customers you can realistically reach. This ties your projections to actual behavior rather than abstract percentages. For example, if you've already tested your product with 200 users and each pays $20 per month, you can extrapolate based on how many similar customers exist in your target region. This gives you a far more grounded estimate of potential revenue. Bottom up research is all about evidence based building. Investors trust it because it demonstrates traction and credibility. It shows you're not guessing. You're learning from the market and using real data to inform your projections. It's harder to build early on because you may not yet have customer data. But the sooner you can start collecting signals, signups, deposits, usage metrics, the stronger your bottom up analysis will be. When we put the two methods side by side, the differences become clear. The top down approach gives a big picture perspective. It's fast to create, easy to present, and helpful for gaining an initial understanding of the market landscape. But it often overestimates opportunity and risks inflating projections beyond what's realistic. The bottom up approach is grounded in reality. It's the methodology investors prefer because it's tied to actual customer behavior and clear unit economics. The downside is that it's harder to build at the early stage since you need data. But once you have it, bottom up provides a clear path to revenue that can't be ignored. The best practice is to use both approaches. Lead with bottom up for credibility, then supplement with top down to show the scale of long term potential. This creates a hybrid view, grounded enough to satisfy investors, but ambitious enough to communicate your vision. The combination of credibility and vision is a powerful story. Let's see how these approaches play out with a practical example. Imagine you're starting a food delivery business. Using the top-down calculation, you might start with the global food delivery market, valued at $150 billion. That sounds impressive, but it doesn't say much about your specific opportunity. It's detached from local realities. Now consider the bottom-up calculation. You analyze your local city and find there are 20,000 households likely to use food delivery regularly. If each spends about $40 per month, that gives you a local serviceable obtainable market of $9.6 million. That number may be smaller than $150 billion, but it's specific, realistic, and achievable. It shows investors you know your customer base and have a clear path to revenue. Here's the reality. Investors respond better to the second calculation. The $150 billion number might sound exciting, but it's vague and optimistic. The $9.6 million number is concrete and evidence-driven. It demonstrates an executable plan, and that's what convinces investors to fund your vision. The lesson is simple. Don't just chase impressive numbers. Build credible ones. Show how you'll dominate a realistic market first, and then expand. Market sizing is one of the most critical parts of building and pitching a startup, but it's also one of the easiest to get wrong. Top-down and bottom-up are complementary approaches, not rivals. Top-down gives you the big picture and shows ambition. Bottom-up grounds you in reality and builds investor confidence. The trick is knowing when and how to use each. If you're just exploring an idea, top-down might help you understand the industry landscape. But as soon as possible, shift to bottom-up. Gather customer data, validate assumptions, and build a case that is rooted in evidence. Investors aren't interested in castles in the sky. They want to see a business that can grow step by step. The strongest founders master both views. They can zoom out to show the global potential and zoom in to show the immediate, realistic opportunity. They understand that credibility comes not from big numbers, but from disciplined methods. And they know that market sizing isn't just about impressing investors. It's about guiding their own strategic choices. So, when you approach market research, remember, flashy top-down numbers may win attention, but evidence-backed, bottom-up numbers win trust. Combine them wisely, and you'll have a story that communicates both the vision of where you're going and the credibility of how you'll get there.